Very good congressman. He was very much like most Middle Tennessee Democrats. He was a national rather than a regional Democrat, not a Dixiecrat, definitely. In fact, I found a letter from Strom Thurmond in his papers asking him to support the Dixiecrat Party in 1948, which he did not do. He was also majority whip for a while, and then by 1956 was chair of a powerful committee, Public Works and Transportation. Fulton ran against him. He was only 29 years old at the time, and one of the things that he criticized Priest for doing was Priest did not sign something called the Southern Manifesto, which was a statement of principles by Southern congressmen opposing the Supreme Court's decision 2 years earlier and promising massive resistance to integration. Only a few Southern congressmen did not sign that, but interestingly, a majority of Tennessee's House delegation did not sign the manifesto. That included 3 Middle Tennessee Democrats, Joe Evans, Percy Priest, and Ross Bass, and the 2 Republicans representing the state at the time, Carol Reese, who was conservative Republican but very pro-civil rights, and Howard Baker Sr., father of the senator. And both of our senators, neither of our senators signed the Southern Manifesto. Lyndon Johnson of Texas was not asked to sign. He was majority leader, but these 2 senators, our 2 senators, refused to sign on principle. Fulton criticized him for that and said he would have signed. He talked about a lot of other issues too. He really didn't go off on a hardcore segregationist campaign, but he did have conservative support, including the banner in Nashville, very favorable to him. They'd be very unfavorable later. After he got beat 2-1, he ran 2 years later on a legislative ticket backed by organized labor for the state senate, and was elected to the state senate, and of course this time seated. At that time, again, the legislature under the domination of the governor had only met once every 2 years, and the governor was Buford Ellington, originally of Mississippi, described himself at the time an old-fashioned segregationist. But Fulton had the bug, and he ran for Congress in 1960. Now, Percy Priest had died in the fall of 1956. He had a heart attack just days before the election. And the Democratic Executive Committee would decide who the nominee was and therefore the winner. So they met, and the county's political factions at the time, one head by Beverly Briley, the other by Mayor Ben West, fought each other. And the eventual winner was the District Attorney General, Carlton Loser, who was 64 years old at the time. According to George Barrett, he claimed to be a friend of organized labor, but wasn't. Barrett says that that Loser was in fact discourteous to them. So organized labor backed Fulton in 1960. Interestingly, some of the black, there are several black political factions in town at the time, and they united behind Fulton. Now, one person who didn't understand this was Mansfield Douglas, the late Mansfield Douglas, whom I interviewed. One of the great public servants of Davidson County, I think, and he even thought he heard Fulton use the N-word on television once. So he confronted Fulton about this, and Fulton apparently gave him a satisfactory answer. He said, I was worried about I was embarrassed by the violence and opposition to school integration. So he had solid support from the black community after that.
Okay, and of course, let us take this second commercial break here, Professor Pickard, and then we'll pick up at that instance. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very short commercial break. We're talking